Hi everyone, today we are going to discuss about human excretory system, a system in which waste products and toxic materials are getting removed from our body. As you can see, all organs are doing their functions, and for carrying on their functions they need energy, and they are getting energy from raw material, which is food and oxygen. They are getting oxygen with the help of lung, and they are digesting food with the help of alimentary canal, which is stomach, small and large intestine, and liver is helping that process. So we said that for getting energy we are in need of food and oxygen, and if we get food and oxygen inside our body, it can be divided into as two parts, like useful material and useless material. Useless material can be digested as feces, it means can be excreted with large intestine as feces and come out from our body. And useful materials can be used in metabolic reactions, or they can metabolized. So what is metabolism, metabolized or metabolic reactions? All the chemical reactions which are happening inside our body is metabolism. Okay, so there is lots of chemical reactions which are happening. For example, in respiration we studied about this, like the process in which the inhaled oxygen turns to carbon dioxide that we are exhaling it. I mean, the process in which oxygen is being used and carbon dioxide is getting produced as waste product, or like this, lots of reactions we have got inside our body, and these reactions are metabolic reactions. So the food that we ingested, the food that we got, and with the oxygen, they are getting separate as useless and useful. The useful one is being used for as metabolic contents. It means in metabolic reactions these useful materials can be used, and further that metabolized materials, or materials which carry the metabolic reactions, can be divided as useful and useless as well. Like useful one can be used in other functions. For example, amino acids, which is the basic unit for the protein, which is a useful product, can be used for synthesizing other kind of proteins inside our body. Or vitamins, for example, they can work as coordinators inside our body. And the metabolic waste, which is urea and carbon dioxide, has to be excreted. So we said that for carrying on our daily activities, our body needs energy. We are getting that energy from the food and oxygen, and inside our body we can divide it as useful and useless material. Useless materials are always getting ingested or excreted, and useful materials are being used on metabolic reactions. Metabolic reactions are all chemical reactions which are happening inside our body. It can be useful. I mean, for carrying on a process we have to, our body needs to do some reactions, and as the result of that metabolic reactions, again wastes and useful products are getting produced. So useful is always useful, so body can store it or use it in different ways, and waste materials have to be excreted. So first let's start with a question: what is excretion? So this is a process in which metabolic wastes are getting removed from our body. So two things are actually getting removed: toxins like poisons or harmful things, and waste, metabolic waste, which was carbon dioxide and urea. I mean, most of the time it's carbon dioxide and urea, and also some toxic materials are getting excreted or removed from our body. So there are some certain waste products, if they remain or if they accumulate inside our body, it can be hazardous or dangerous. It can damage our tissues. As we know, I told you before that the food that we are ingesting, after digestion it mixes to our bloodstream carries that food particles to tissues, and from tissues these food particles can move to the cells, and inside of the cell they are doing reactions with the oxygen that we call them metabolic reactions, and at the end of that reactions a cell produced energy as useful material and produce carbon dioxide as waste material. So if this carbon dioxide remains inside the cell, it can be hazardous, it can damage the tissues. Or for example, excess water, if we use more water than it's required, so it can be also dangerous, it can also cause some complications inside our body. So that's why we have a regularly removing system. I mean, we have a system in which waste products are not remaining inside our body. So okay, so we have four structures by which, or four organs by which excretion can be happen. The first one is lungs. We know that carbon dioxide is getting excreted by this structure or organ. The second is colon or large intestine, which is also functioning as a excretory organ, excreting the solid waste particles. And skin, which is excreting some salt and excess water as sweat. And the kidney, which is excreting the liquid waste products. And also sometimes they say that liver is also one of the excretory organs, but actually liver is a structure which is producing the waste materials. For example, toxins or poisons and also some drugs that we are using is being denatured, or we can say broken down to the smallest particles inside the liver. And using so much drugs and alcohol is dangerous for the liver, because liver can lose some of its abilities. So as we say that the denaturing or breaking down the toxins and drugs leads liver to produce some waste materials. And this waste materials are mostly, they can be toxic if they remain so much inside our body. So liver is producing waste materials, and these four organs are excreting it or removing it from inside our body. So the first structure we said is lung. If you remember, in respiratory system and also in circulation, we talked about this. We talked about pulmonary circulation. We said that there are some blood vessels which are carrying blood with carbon dioxide to this part of, or this chamber in arteries of heart, we can say. And heart is sending that blood to lungs, and lungs are filtering, just absorbing carbon dioxide from the blood and releasing or exhaling carbon dioxide out, and sending the remained oxygenated blood again to the heart, and heart pumps that blood to all over the body, which is a pulmonary circulation. So as we obviously can see that the lung function is to excrete carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a waste product over there, and this is a process of excretion. And also without carbon dioxide, lungs can excrete some waters and head as well. The second structure is colon or large intestine. So we talked about this issue in a digestion lesson. We said that this large intestine is producing just the waste products, the main things. After digestion, the useless things are remained, and these useless things can be excreted from colon. And also, if you remember about liver, we said that the liver function is to produce bile. Bile is a kind of chemical which is helping us to digest lipid. And gallbladder function is to send this bile to small intestine. And inside small intestine, this bile can digest cholesterol, for example, which is a kind of lipid or oil, and also digested hemoglobin it can be. So this bile which digested different things can turn to bile pigment, and bile pigment can be excreted with help of colon. And also the brown color of feces is also because of that bile pigment. And also without that bile pigment, colon or large intestine can excrete mucus and some bacteria as well. Next structure is skin. like as you can see there, over there is a diagram of the skin, the lipid layers, the sweat gland, the hair root, and also the epidermis layer. So about glands, if you remember, we said that it is a kind of structure which is able to produce some chemicals, and that chemicals are like can be hormones, or sometimes it can be some other chemicals in order to carry some other functions. For example, the sweat gland function is to maintain the body temperature and also to excrete some salt, water, and some urea inside our body. About urea, we can say that it is a kind of waste product, nitrogenous waste product, which is being produced inside liver. We're going to talk about this. So if heat is lost, so we are sweating. That's why body can cool itself. So if you ever noticed in cold weather, we are not sweating, because the main function of sweat is like maintaining the body temperature. It means to make balanced the outer surface or the environment temperature with the temperature of inside our body, or our internal temperature. So if the weather is cold enough outside, so there will be no need of sweating. It means temperature can be balanced as it is. But if there is so much warm temperature, I mean temperature is so much high, so on that places, on that situations, body can react as sweating for maintaining a balanced situation on that place. So the skin function was to excrete salt, water, and some urea, and also to cool the body and maintain the body temperature by excreting that water, salt, and urea. Next title is kidney. Kidney is also one of the organs which are releasing or excreting urea, which is a liquid waste product, and inside beside urea it can excrete some salts, water, and other things as well. So we said that kidney is releasing or excreting urea. So from where this urea is coming? It's coming from the liver. If you remember, we say that liver is producing some nitrogenous wastes, and other organs like skin, kidney, heart, and lungs and colon can excrete it. So whenever liver broke down the bonds of amino acid and nucleic acid, as they are made up of nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, and carbon. So amino acid and nucleic acid can be broken down to atoms, and a body is using that oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen atoms or molecules, and the remained nitrogenous structures are considered to be waste products. And this nitrogenous structures are actually can be hazardous or can be dangerous if they remain so much inside our body. That's why we have to excrete it, and the excretion of that type of things are function of kidney. So we said the substances are made in the liver and excreted by the kidneys. So the urinary system, or the system which is excreting urea, is actually composed of kidneys. 2 kidneys we got, ureter, also 2 ureters which are connecting kidneys with the bladder or urinary bladder, and the 4th structure is urethra, which is a tube-like structure which leads urea to come out from our body. So now we are going to discuss about all of them. Now let's start our lesson with the kidney, with the first one. So kidney lies toward the back of the abdomen, as you can see, and in each side of spinal cord we got 1 kidney, and kidney is getting protected by thick layer of fat, and the right kidney is always a bit lower than the left kidney. Why is that? Because above right kidney there is a liver structure. Liver is pushing that kidney a bit down. That's why right kidney is a bit lower than the left kidney. And also as we talked about this, the ureters are connecting kidneys with the bladder, and bladder ends with urethra, which is releasing or excreting that urea outside. And also at the top of that kidneys we got glands with the name of adrenal gland. The adrenal gland function is to release some hormones in order to regulate different sort of things. For example, formation of red blood cells, involved in the blood pressure, and also involvement in the control of calcium metabolism. So above the kidneys there are some glands which are functioning for regulating different functions. And also about functions of kidney, we can say the main function of kidney is to filter waste products. What does it mean? It means that as you can see, two kidneys with bladder and ureter, and also we have a renal vein and a renal artery. So whenever blood enters through renal artery to the kidneys are filtering that blood, just absorbing waste products. Then the remained blood, the pure blood, is returning back to the renal vein with the blue color, and come out from the kidneys, and the wastes are moving from ureter structures to the bladder, and from bladder it is getting excreted. So the main function of kidneys are to filter the blood. Blood is coming through renal artery to both kidneys. Kidneys are filtering that blood. The waste products are getting absorbed. Then the remained blood is returning back to the renal vein, and renal vein carries that blood back to the heart in order to pump. So if we see the internal structure of the kidney, we would see the cortex structure, the medulla structure, which involves some pyramids, and also the pelvis structure. Pelvis is connected with the ureter, which in this place, in pelvis place, the urea or the waste products are moving to the bladder, passing through ureter and moving to the bladder. And also renal artery and renal veins are also connected or have connection to internal part of the kidney, which is carrying the blood inside kidney, which can be pure blood, or which can be like toxic or impure blood. So for your further information, we can say that renal cortex is a red color structure, which is the first structure we can see. Then the renal medulla, which contains some pyramids inside of it, and renal pelvis. The function of renal pelvis is to collect urea or urine and send it to ureter in order to excretion. Kidney got one functional unit, which is nephron, and nephron can filter 180 liters of fluid and form 1.5 liters of urine per day. So let's see where that nephron is located. If we notice the internal part of the kidney, there were pyramid-like structures in medulla part. If we zoom in that pyramids, we can see the nephron structures. The nephron structure, this structure, it means this structure is the main nephron structure, which is functioning for filtering the urea. So the first structure that we can see in nephron is glomerulus, which is functioning as a blood filter. It means filtering the small soluble things or small solids from the blood, then send that small things to proximal convoluted tubules, which is reabsorbing ions and water and nutrients and remove toxic materials. then sending to this part, which is a descending loop of Henle, which is allowing water to pass to the intestine. Sending the extra fluid to intestine again. Then the next structure is ascending loop of Henle, which is reabsorbing nitrogen, sodium and chlorine from that, send it to the intestine fluid. And then after this, distal tubes are coming. As you can see, we can follow the nephron structure. Distal tubes are coming, and in this distal tubes, they also absorb different ions and different sort of things. So if we follow the nephron structure again, they are sending the waste products to the sex part, which is collecting duct. In collecting duct again, some waters and some solids are getting reabsorbed, and then the rest is getting excreted. So inside the nephron, like in sex steps, the blood is getting filtered. The first filter is in glomerulus, which is filtering the small solids from the blood, then sending the waste particles to the second part, which is absorbing some ions and waters, again sending to the third part, which is again passing some waters to the intestine structure, and again this is sending the urea or the waste products are being sent to the ascending loop, which is also getting absorbed. The sodium and chlorine structures are absorbing in that part, and like this. The different filtration states are involved in nephron filtration system. So now let's talk about composition of urine. Inside urine, or that liquid material or liquid substance that we are excreting, and 96% water is involved, and daily 1.5 liters of urine is produced inside our body. 1.5% of that urea is made up of salt, and this salt can be sodium chloride. Mostly it is sodium chloride, and small quantities of drugs that we are using, some hormones, and also preservatives can be involved in structure of urea.